Sometimes, everything begins with a single spark that seems harmless. In an instant, the wind adds its fury. The flames grow, the sky darkens. While people search for a way to escape, the forests silently die. And what remains along with the scorched earth is a grief that will never fade. In this video, you will feel the dark truth behind the flames. The images that will linger in your mind for a long time, and that ominous silence where ashes dance in the air. 8th of November, 2018, 6:30 in the morning. It was starting out as an ordinary day in California, but no one knew that within a few hours, an entire city would be gone. In Butte County, the first smoke rose from the dry grass. At first, no one paid attention, but when the warm air combined with low humidity and strong wind, the spark turned into a monster. This fire was recorded as the Camp Fire. But that day, hell descended upon California. Within minutes, the flames spread at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. The small town of Paradise faced a fate that contradicted its name. It was no longer heaven, it was hell. People jumped into their cars trying to escape, but the fire was so fast that some drivers burned to death inside their vehicles. A woman was crying for help on the phone. "The flames are everywhere. We can't escape. Please help us." The phones went silent. The power went out. The roads were blocked, and the flames swallowed the entire town. The outcome, 85 lives lost. Over 19,000 destroyed structures. 153,000 acres of forest turned to ash. It was the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in American history. And the most tragic part, it turned out that the negligence of the electric company PG&E played a major role. An aging transmission line had brought the end of a town. The Camp Fire is not just a natural disaster. It is a dark stain in history where negligence was tested by fire. And still, the people of Paradise, trying to grow hope from the ashes, quietly resist so that such mistakes are never repeated. Australia. Late in the year 2019, the temperature was approaching 50 degrees Celsius. The ground was dry, the wind was screaming, and suddenly, a thin smoke appeared on the horizon. The first spark had fallen, but no one knew that this spark would turn into a hell that would last for months. The Black Summer had begun. The fires grew so large that almost the entire Australian continent was under flames. Approximately 186,000 square kilometers burned. If I said that this is like all of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Switzerland together turning to ash, I wouldn't be exaggerating. 33 people lost their lives, but the real destruction happened in nature. According to scientists, exactly 3 billion animals died or lost their habitats. Koalas. Those gentle, innocent-eyed creatures. People watched as the flames devoured them while they clung to trees with their tiny paws. A firefighter shouted over the radio, "The wind has shifted! Flames are coming toward us! Fall back!" In some places, the flames were so hot that birds walking on the asphalt fell to the ground, burned from their feet. The fire reached such a point that even satellites were forced to watch this hell from the sky. And the smoke reached all the way to the coasts of South America. This was not just a natural disaster. This was the price humanity paid for its mistakes against nature. And that price was paid with a black summer. The Black Summer. The lungs of a continent burned, and the world witnessed nature's fury this closely for the first time. 2020, California. The sky had turned orange. The sun was nowhere to be seen. The air smelled of burnt forest and ash, and the people were waking up to a nightmare every morning. This year would be the darkest in California's history. Over 9,000 wildfires. In total, 4 million acres of land were reduced to ash. That is an area 10 times the size of the entire city of Los Angeles. And the most terrifying part, the fires were so intense, they created their own weather systems. Yes, you heard right. Firestorms formed. The flames rose so high that they created their own clouds in the atmosphere. These formations, called pyrocumulonimbus, sent lightning strikes that started new fires. Firefighters were exhausted. The public was helpless. Some villages vanished from the map. And the tragic part? Most of the fires were human-caused. Power lines, careless campers. Even one fire started from fireworks at a gender reveal party. A mother's scream still echoes online. "We lost everything in just a few minutes." 31 people lost their lives. Thousands of homes turned to ash. And nature, it was impossible to breathe in that region for months. The sky was yellow. The birds had disappeared. It was as if it were the end of the world. The California wildfires of 2020. This was not just a fire. This was the moment nature said, "Enough." 2021. In the northeast of Russia, a flame is born. Siberia, an icy geography. But this time, it was not freezing, it was burning. And this was not like the fires we know. Hidden, silent, uncontrollable. Satellites could barely detect the flames. The local people were in fear. The sky is darkening before our eyes, but no one is helping. The fire was so massive that in just July of 2021, the flames in Siberia accounted for more than half of all the world's wildfires. Yes, you heard that right. More than half. Approximately 18 million hectares of forest turned to ash. That is larger than the land area of Portugal. And the scariest part? Some of these fires were called zombie fires. That means they kept burning secretly underground in peat layers, even in winter. And when spring came, they flared up again from beneath the soil. But why? Climate change, negligence, insufficient response. Yet Russian authorities often remained silent. If the fires haven't reached human settlements, intervention is unnecessary. These words only fueled more anger within the country. And the result? Tens of thousands of people were evacuated. Thousands of animals perished. But the world hardly heard about this disaster. The Siberian wildfires of 2021, a hell far from sight. Perhaps nature was sending its final warning to humanity's indifference. July 2021, Turkey was in the middle of a scorching summer. But that summer, the sun was not only warming, it was burning. In the Manavgat district of Antalya, a small spark started a fire, and within minutes it turned into a disaster. The wind carried the flames to the mountains, villages, and seaside, and then Muğla, Bodrum, Marmaris. Within one day, fires broke out simultaneously in 5 different places. Officials were shocked, the public was worried, and Turkey was in the middle of a nightmare. Flames surrounded villages. People fled, leaving behind their homes, fields, and animals. Some could not escape. The elderly, animals, were claimed by the flames. The voice of a village woman echoed on social media. "My dear, we are burning. Please send planes. Help us." This cry shattered millions of hearts. Social media was ablaze. The hashtag #HelpTurkey trended worldwide. But the flames did not listen to tweets. 8 lives lost. Over 150,000 hectares reduced to ash, and the silent death of thousands of living creatures. These fires burned not only the trees, but also the heart of Turkey. And what remained were scorched forests, abandoned villages, and tears. But most of all, a question. Were these fires truly a coincidence? Or was there sabotage behind them? In 2021, Turkey fought not only against flames, but also for hope. And these lands, trying to be reborn from every ash, silently prayed that they would never burn like this again. 2023, Canada, one of the countries with the largest forests in the world. Quiet, peaceful, but that peace would not last long. It was May. On days that should have been cool and rainy, the thermometers began to rise to abnormal levels. The ground was dry, and then the first flame appeared. At that moment, no one knew this would become the largest fire in history, starting from a single spark. But nature had already made its decision. Over 10 million hectares burned within weeks. That is larger than the entirety of the United Kingdom. The flames were spreading uncontrollably. Hundreds of towns were evacuated. The sky was covered in a crimson shroud. And the terrifying part? This fire affected not only Canada, but even the United States. New York, the city of massive skyscrapers. One morning, it woke up not breathing fog, but ash. Air quality reached the worst level in the world. People began going outside wearing masks. But this time, it was not because of a pandemic, but because of wildfires. The voice of a Canadian official trembled on the radio. This is the largest environmental crisis in the country's history. All crews are insufficient. The wind has shifted. The fire is out of control. Thousands of firefighters, with international support, fought a desperate battle against the flames. But nature was furious that year. Experts said, this is not just a fire. This is the burning face of the climate crisis. 2023, Canada. People fled. Forests disappeared. But the mark left behind by the flames was not only on the soil, it was also burned into the conscience of humanity. The darkness behind the flames is much deeper than you think. If you want to see the anger of nature, the negligence of humanity, and the truth that tests our future, subscribe, because the secrets hidden in the ashes of this fire have yet to come to light.